Hello there, everyone. Hang on just a second and we will get started. Okay, all right, let me get you promoted here. So hang on one second. Oops. Okay, so I've got everybody so far, but there's still more people logging in, so we just need another minute. And while we're waiting, if you've already promoted everybody here, but you have to, I guess, do something on your end to be live on video and be able to chat and unmute yourself and all that. So if either of you have something you want to cover while I'm doing this or have a question, now would be a good time to do that before we jump into tonight's subject. So feel free, at ease. It's a military command, at ease.
Here, I do have a question.
Okay.
First of all, happy Monday night, everybody.
Thank you.
Where do I do, like, for me as a new agent, for like documents or contracts, do I send them to you to review to make sure that they're filled out properly?
Actually, what happens is in EXP, the good news is they do that for us. So when you put something on SkySlope, where we enter transactions, either listings or something that goes under agreement, they have a team of people that review them, and then they send you an email with a checklist. It's literally like color coded, what you have left to do, what you need, and so forth. And also starting, actually, we've already started this on our team. We have our own virtual assistant who's starting to enter the initial transaction for you. So, and all you do, so let's say you get something under agreement today, a sales agreement, buyer and seller both execute. What you do is you send that in an attachment to her name is Paula. She'll go into SkySlope and fill in the fields on SkySlope on your behalf. So it saves you a little bit of time and keystrokes, but from that point on, you take it from there, following the instructions from the EXP folks. And then from time to time, something will pop up, whatever, something you're not familiar with, or, change in terms. Absolutely reach out, to me and anybody on the team for that matter, and we'll help you out. But as far as what you asked about, that actually is a large part done by EXP, so kind of neat.
So like the buyer's agreement that I had, that will go through EXP, so or just only transactional contracts?
Yeah, the main thing is listings and sales agreements. Now, our buyer's agency agreement, you would put that in SkySlope and attach it to like when you have the transaction loaded for that particular property, you have the sales agreement loaded, and you would attach that buyer's agency agreement. It's sort of like just an additional attachment. You can call it an addendum if you want, but that's really all you do with that. And guys, unless there's something I'm not aware of or something additional, please speak up if you're.
I have a question, Sarah.
Yep.
Sarah, are you looking for help to make sure that you've written it correctly before you get it signed, or review before you present, or is that possibly what you're looking for?
Well, I filled out my buyer's agreement, and I was just needing it to be reviewed before I emailed it to my client, as he requested to have an email copy. So I sent it to, I sent it to Susan first, and then I sent it to the Virginia brokers because I wasn't sure if I needed to send it to them or where I needed to send it. And then the Virginia broker emailed me back stating that I needed to submit those to my team leads. So that's why I asked Gary if that's something that we got to send to him for review, just to make sure I had it right, that I wasn't missing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, what they're talking about is traditional teams, where you're just like a local team, but we're not like a traditional or a local team. So what you would do is you're certainly welcome to share it with me and Paula, and she can load that for you, but without a sales agreement. When you can enter the information on a person, but it's really transaction based. So you would have to have an address, you know what I mean? And
You
without
know what
having
I
an,
would do with that, Gary? I would walk my avatar right into my broker's office and
Mhm.
take a number, and within just a few minutes, that broker will be right there. I just ask that question, and it'll be taken care of. They'll review it, and then give you some advice or say that you filled out correctly, and then go ahead and submit it for a signature. And then once you have that, you can move forward because that's easy.
Yeah, because they reviewed it. They said everything looked good, and so did Susan.
Mhm.
There was no issues with it. But he
Yeah.
said just moving forward, that if I have any questions about something that isn't like a transactional contract, like
Mhm.
my buyer client buying a property, and it's just an agreement between me and him, which
Mhm.
would be the buyer's agreement, then that would have been something I was supposed to give to the team lead. But I don't know if they're aware that I'm actually on a GIA team and just not a part of a regular team in EXP.
Yeah, traditional teams, you have like a rainmaker, which is the team leader, an ISA, somebody that does all the phone calling, a couple buyers agents and like a listing specialist. But we don't pigeonhole people that kind of let's play one role, because we want you to obviously be more well-rounded and have a complete model. So that's why they're saying that they're used to the old traditional franchise-based style teams,
Gotcha.
So yeah. Hey, Greg, I just saw your message about Mose. I don't see her in the attendee list. Only people left there are Mike McGran, Kevin Kelleher, Dev Body, excuse me, and Carl. And I'm looking on the panelist side now to see if I've already promoted her. I wonder if she got knocked off, or I wonder if she's in the right link.
Yeah, I'll double check. She just texted me that she was in the waiting room. So
You know what? She has the wrong link, because there is no waiting room on a team. The way the way the class was set up on Zoom, there actually is no waiting room. So that tells me she has an incorrect link. Yeah.
Okay, I'll double check on it. Make sure that she signs up to make sure she gets the
Yeah.
right link.
She has like a strategy call link. That's what sounds like what she has. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I just sent her that for next week, so I'll double check with her.
Okay. Sounds
Thanks.
good. Okay, let's see, guys. Let me check. I'm waiting to hear from Peck, because what we're going to do tonight is we just found out. Literally for the last hour, Charles Chandler was going to come on tonight, and he's in Tennessee, and he has this program for veterans that he was going to showcase, but show you some of his marketing. And he actually is active duty, and he got called to do something on base. So what I asked Kay is, could we use? She has a property that she's looking at. Could we use that as a case study? And I'll. There's Kay. Kay, how are you? Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'm here.
Good. I don't know if you saw the text message. The email you sent me earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I thought instead of you waiting, would you like to bring that up? Because I can share the screen. I can share it on my screen, or have you share it on your screen. And
I would
literally
love it.
walk through it.
I would love
think you
it.
did excellent.
Because I don't know what
Message-
I'm doing wrong, and I don't know if my numbers are right. And I'm excited about this property, but I don't want to make a mistake.
I agree 100%. Well, the good news is you got some pretty educated people on the Zoom call tonight when it comes to investing. And by the way, I want to welcome all the guests. Thank you for being on. And this class is live. It also is being recorded. It is also being simultaneously broadcast on Facebook Live. You will get a recording if you're a guest and you registered using a registration link. You will get a recording automatically tomorrow. And it's purely education based. There's no Nobody's selling anything, nobody's recruiting, anything like that. And it's open mic, so you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions or type them in the chat box. Welcome aboard, and logging in. Okay, let me all right, so let me double check here real quick and promote anybody else over here on the attendee list.
What?
There's Andre,
What's in the microwave? Just open the microwave or turn it off. Burn
Catherine,
the
hey Kathy,
popcorn.
and I think that's everybody. Hey Andre, if you don't mind, I'm going to promote you, Andre,
Okay.
to co-host. If I just lost you, where are you? Let me go back over to the attendee list. There you are. Andre LaFountain. So Andre, if you could check on the attendees, make sure they're promoted and things like that, that would be great.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was on a prospect call and couldn't get off quick enough.
That's okay.
I'm
Hey,
sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I appreciate the help. Okay, so what I'm going to do, Kay, let me go to my email and whoops, bring up the right file here. That's Facebook. Okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. I'm going to try to eliminate some of these other screens here. Okay, so email, and where's my Peck email? Here we go. And I've got the attachments. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, guys. So hang on 1 second. Here. Okay. So, Kay, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and just give us an introduction here, maybe about how this came about, where it is, a little bit of background, and we can walk through the context here and then go into the attachments, because I did look at some of the attachments before class, and I do have some questions on the numbers. So I think we can clear this up tonight and seek input and advice from others on the Zoom call here, you know. You're still muted. Okay.
Okay. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I saw this house. It's from a wholesaler, and of course they want all cash. They were asking $250. I'm a realtor, so I did some numbers and ran some ARVs in the immediate area. I mean, you know, within a 2 or 3 block radius. And the ARV on this property came up to be $443,750. So I thought, that's interesting. I piddled around for a couple of weeks, didn't go see it, couldn't get in, finally got in, looked at it. It's a very interesting, it's a modern house. It sits on the top of kind of a gently sloping hill that goes down, and the view down is of the Almost Basin golf course. Which I didn't realize until I looked at the layout and saw the plot, that the land went all the way down to the golf course, because it's got trees and stuff and you can't see much. It also has a back house, which in San Antonio we call it a casita. And it looks like it's maybe, 500 square feet. I missed it when I did my review because it was hidden further down the lot, and I was having trouble getting in the backyard. And I think it needs probably, some new doors and some windows. It's got a lot of glass. It needs some new flooring, probably needs electrical and maybe some plumbing. I don't know, although they said everything was good. The roof is new. It's less than 5 years old. The foundation looks solid, and see any issues with that. The only thing that was spunky is in the back. They did kind of like a big sunroom that's surrounded with windows and sliding glass doors to the outside. And it sloped. Like the floor was covered with, linoleum or vinyl, but it sloped, about, I don't know, maybe a 25 degree, 30 degree angle. So it was done purposefully because you could see it. So I thought that was weird, and I thought I would want to fix that. So I thought that I could rent the main house. I looked at Zillow and I looked at rents in the area, and they were going for between 25 and 2690. So I rounded it to 2700. And then I think you could rent the back house for probably, 1100, worst case, I think, 999, but I think you could get that kind of revenue from it. I ran a mortgage calculator, and on the pity that I came up with was 2,886. And I factored in a purchase price of 300,000. I talked to them and I made them an offer of 200. They turned me down. They said the minimum they could take was 240. So I added 240 plus 60 for repairs, came up with 300,000, which is the money that I would need to do it. And I figured any overages or stuff like that, I'd probably, take out of my retirement account. I did an offer calculator and it said that, 240 was about right. As I said, I budgeted 60,000 for repairs. I wanted to make a minimum of $40,000 profit on it. So that was factored in. The offer price of 240 was 54.1% of ARV. And there was some other calculator I did, and this made me think my numbers were wrong because it said the profit potential was 205,000. I thought, wow, that's really good. Probably too good to be true, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Taxes, I looked up without exemptions because these people, I think it was an old engineers. We have a company called Pape Dawson here, and the family name on this house is Pape. So I think they were engineers. But the taxes are $9,334 per year with no exemptions. They were only paying $2,147 with exemptions. The numbers I ran on the cap rate were 4.54%, but I'm not real super clear on that. I basically looked at operating income for just renting the main house, and that was $10,884. And then if I had the expenses didn't go up at all, and then I added the rental of the apartment and came up with $57,624 if I rented both the front and back separately. Again, my cash on cash return was 285, which I think is too high. So I don't know. I said, I need some help. I need somebody to look at these. And Gina said, call Gary. He'll look at it for you. He'll tell you if it makes sense. So I did, and here I am.
Well, I love these, especially when bringing up the class, because it gives everybody a chance to see a real one, real live in person, and we can go through the analysis and always ask for input from other people too. So yeah, if you have a cash on cash return of 285%, that will mathematically be impossible. So
Okay.
Anything over 100%. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but any case, so a couple of things here right off the bat. We have a ratio. It's basically 70-30. So in other words, if you have a $100,000 house, in order to turn a profit, you don't want to have any more than 70,000 into it. That's purchase plus remodeling. So 70% of the ARV, which is after repair value, is your maximum for what you can offer and put into remodeling. And I believe this is going to make it. So let's take the 443 750. Okay, use my calculator on my phone here. We're going to use the calculators you have here in the attachments in a second. But first, let's do this. So 443 750 times 0.7 is 310,625. Okay. So when you add your purchase price of 240 plus 60,000 repairs, that's 300,000. So you're within the 310,000. You're within that 70% ratio. In other words, you got $10,625 for breathing room. Okay. So right off the bat, I would say this passes the first litmus test, which is the 70-30 ratio, and it makes sense to move forward. Okay. So far, if everybody could give me a hand raise or just type in the chat box, the letters MS for makes sense. That 70-30 ratio makes, you understand the math I just did. If you could let me know that. And if you're not sure or uncertain, just unmute yourself, say, hey, Gary, can we go over that again? I don't mind at all. This is what learning is all about. And everybody has to learn this for the first time, including me, all those years ago. So, but that ratio, while you're thinking about your answer, is extremely critical. So the 30% becomes your profit plus carrying cost. And the reason we use 30% is we want you to make at least 20%, right? And then and still have 10% for carrying costs would be like, commissions, other closing costs, things like that. Okay.
Utilities, taxes.
Well, well, let me ask you this,
Maintenance.
actually. I'm curious, on this one, you can either do rentals or you can do flips, or of course, in the case of your seller, he's really as a wholesaler, he's not the owner, but he's going to assign the contract. But aside from that, the two main ways to make money on a property, if you're actually going to own it, is renting and flipping. So this one here actually looks like it could make sense as a flipper. Now, I know the market is on the way down and interest rates are on the way up. So generally you want to try to flip the opposite way. You want to flip when the market is coming out of recession and heading up, where interest rates are coming down to entice more people into the market. But the market where you are, Kay, it seems to me like it's still moving pretty well. Where you are, I know you might take a little bit of a punch in the gut during a recession, but I don't think it would be like Phoenix or Vegas or, some of the other places that really have wild swings in value. So, would you agree where you are is, it's been going up a lot steadily for quite a while now.
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
starting to come down. We're seeing a lot more price reductions and days on market is increasing.
Okay. Which it sounds to me, that sounds like a correction, like 10% is basically a correction. Most of the country started that back in July. There are parts of the country, guys, by the way, that are actually down 30%. That's full blown, that's recession material. So back to this, Kay. Now in here, you mentioned you have all the rents. So I'm assuming, this is one you would actually like to keep then? You would like to buy it, remodel it and keep it?
Yeah, I would like to buy it and keep it, either to use it as an Airbnb because of its location, and then maybe rent the casita out,
Okay.
to somebody who could watch over the property and live there and
Okay.
take care of it.
Well, one thing you can do, it's called, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, before you go much further, Gary, if I
Yep.
can, if I could just throw something in, just because of
Yep.
doing all the flips that we've done over the years.
Mhm.
I don't know how other people do this, but I know that because we did it for so many years, I actually always padded my numbers. So if
Mhm.
I thought something was going to cost me $60,000, I always figured it would cost an extra 10%.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes you get into these projects and you don't know what you're going to get into. So I always expected that something, that I would find something that I didn't expect, and I would just pad it a little bit more.
Mhm.
So just throwing that out for all the investors out there. Obviously there's really experienced investors, but there's also maybe some newer investors that may not have had the experience of finding, these gems that, you have to correct for, and you don't want to be caught really short. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. So on the attachments, we're going to go over here in a minute. We'll bring those up, and I can't remember, Kay, if there was like a contingency figure in there or not, or like a package.
Yeah, and some of the numbers that I ran, it depended on,
Okay.
and this is a new set of forms that, from another group that I'm a part of, and I'm not real clear on exactly how the calculations are, but I use their forms because I probably will go to him to help me with some of the financing.
Okay. Is that Lou? Is that who it
Yes.
is? Or
Yeah,
perfect. Okay.
Lou Brown.
Yep. Okay. So now on the rental side, rents 2,700 and 1,100. That's 3,800 a month. Obviously rates are on the way up, and now the prevailing rate is like 7%, and likely will after tomorrow, we'll likely see another rate increase. They just want to get the election out of the way and not they didn't want to affect the effect. They didn't want to infect the election. So that's why September 21, I think, was the last rate hike they had. And they did say that they could do 2 more. And I kind of knew they wouldn't do another one before the election. So we'll likely see one probably before the end of the year. It's possible we'll see 2. I just think that they'll do one. They'll do it between here and Thanksgiving, and then let everybody enjoy the Christmas season. And after the holidays, they'll do another one. I don't think they'll do 2 before the end of the year. I could be wrong, but in any case, long story short is this: if you're going to buy and hold, the way you're going about it, we use what's called the BRRRR method. Buy is the B. The first R is remodel, right? The second one is rent, and the third one is refinance. And if you want to, add another R on there, a 4th R could be repeat. So buy, remodel, rent, refinance, repeat. And so what you're doing is you have to have either cash or credit to buy the house to begin with and do the remodeling. Okay. And I'm gathering here you're going to be looking at some financings to do that, to do the initial purchase and remodeling. Okay. All right. So that, and I see here you put down it could be at 9.75%. That'd be awesome for short-term money. But then what you do is once you're done, you've got it, bought, remodeled, you've got it rented, then you go and get permanent financing on it. Now we'll tell you there are banks out there that will do purchase plus remodeling on the initial financing, so you don't have to go through financing again. So I would look into that. And there was one that came up a couple of weeks back. I wish I can remember the loan or the bank that was doing that. Did any of you guys on the call tonight, does anybody remember that coming up in one of our classes where there was a new loan came out, a new loan package that will allow you to do the purchase and remodeling?
My credit union will let me do it.
Yeah, check into that, Kate, before you spend 9.75%. Check your credit union, because of your employment history and your credentials. You may, I'm gonna wager you would probably qualify for that, and it would be less expensive on the rate. It'd also be, they would convert it to a permanent loan and not have to make you refinance when you're done. Now, having said all that, in a really good market, good for investing, if you do the BRRRR method, it's really cool when you refinance. If you can refinance in such a way that you pull equity out of the property. So let's say that it does appraise at 443, and they would finance, let's say 75% of that. Let's say 80%, because most banks would finance up to 80% on this type of project. So 443, 750 times 0.8, that'd be 355,000. So you could pull out essentially 45,000. Now, I'm not saying you should do that, and I would encourage you to maybe, if you pull anything out, just pull out just enough to reward yourself for immediate, gratification, maybe 10,000, something like that, and take your family on a Christmas vacation. But don't over finance, because your rents are $2,700 to $3,800. Now, I don't have a financial calculator on my phone, but if somebody, if one of you wouldn't mind, go to one of the amortization calculators online. I don't know if Andre, you have one handy, and plug in 310,000. It's say 20 years at make it 7%. So 310,000, 20 years, 7%, and see what that monthly payment comes out to.
Okay, let me see if I can find one real quick. I haven't done that in a while, but
Okay, that's right. That's right.
should just be able to Google it, right?
2403, Gary.
What's that, Lisa?
2403.43.
2403.33. Okay, so right off the bat, you've got 1,400 in cash flow left. 3,800 minus 24 is 1,400. Out of the 14, and Lisa, that's just a principal and interest, right? That does not include insurance and taxes?
Yes. So give me
Okay.
those numbers again, because I'm just looking at the calculator here.
Yep.
And
So,
I'll redo it just in case.
okay. So Kay, what I'm getting at is you might not want to pull any cash out on the refi because your cash flow is going to be squeezed pretty tight.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You know,
Gary, what if she amortized over 30?
we'll do that. Do 30 years.
Okay, what was the amount again? I'm sorry.
Oh, 310,000,
310, okay.
30 years and 7%.
Loan amount, 30-year term at 7%. It would be 206,244.
$2,006.
$2,062.44.
Oh, okay. So now you've got close to 1,800. And by the way, Lisa, did it include taxes and insurance, or is that still just principal interest?
No, that's just principal and interest, because I don't know whether taxes and insurance are.
Hey,
Okay,
Gary, I did taxes and insurance in taxes based on California. Texas is a little bit more, so they're not totally accurate. But for taxes and insurance, I got $2,462.44 principal interest, taxes, insurance. But
Honestly,
Texas taxes are a little bit higher. And that's 30 years.
Yeah, okay.
okay.
You got, what was that number?
For California taxes, your taxes are going to be a little bit higher. It's $2,462.44 for a 30-year loan, $310,000 loan at 7% interest for 30 years.
Okay.
Okay. So you could theoretically, Kay, then maybe pull out, 10 or 20,000 if you want. And so, because right now you're sitting at around, if you add in some other figures for maintenance, repairs, things like that, you're probably left with $1,000 a month. That's pretty good. But I tend to be really conservative. In fact, when I was actively growing a portfolio in the beginning, I was highly leveraged, up to 80%. But my goal was to get every property to be leveraged at only 65% by the end of the first year. And I would do that by more remodeling and raising rents. Okay. So in any case, the reason is if you think about that old classic formula that banks use, your principal and interest of your debt should not be more than 1/3 of your take-home pay of your income. Okay. And on the asset and what you owe and what you own, right? Your asset liability equation. So if you own 443,000, you wouldn't want to owe more than say 300 roughly on that 443 asset, which is about 2/3. That was the old classic formula. So if you do that, you'll find yourself always being able to borrow money. You always have substantial equity, more than 20%, effectively, about a third equity. And that's a really good, solid financial position to be in, And imagine if you had 10 properties like that, even if one of them got demolished by a hurricane, the other 9 are going to far more than make up the difference, So far, this is passing the litmus test, but I want to open up to the group here. Tell me what you're thinking. Or you think that's too tight, too aggressive? I know Karen, I agree with Karen. I learned over the years, add a little extra cushion. It's better to overestimate and come in under budget than the opposite. Nothing feels worse than, let's face it, who here has ever done a big remodeling job, like a kitchen or a bathroom, and had it come in exactly on schedule and exactly on budget? I don't think I ever have. Now, having said that, I will tell you this: when we remodel for rentals, do we spend more than or less than we would remodel for a flip? So which remodeling generally costs us more? Same house, same condition, but when we're remodeling for a flip, when we're remodeling for a rental, which one will we spend more money on?
The flip.
The flip. Yep. So when you're renting, you're using good quality, solid material, which you're not putting in the gold fixtures. It's American standard plumbing. It'll last forever. It's warranted, guaranteed, and looks good. It's solid. Plumbing. Remember this: plumbing supplies, guys, should be heavy. If you pick it up and it's heavy, it's good plumbing. But if it's really light, that means it's filled with too much plastic. and it's gonna be cheap and you'll be replacing it in a year, you know? So in any case, and
Yep, and
give me
if you talk to a plumber, they'll tell you, go brass.
yeah,
Go brass, if it's plastic, stay away from it.
yeah, yep. That's exactly right. Hey, okay, guys, any input, any questions? Let me
I
ask
have
you
a
this.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did Kay get the original ARV on this particular property?
I looked at the last 3 months, solds and actives and pendings. Ironically, the actives were like, they were, the ones that had been redone were over 500,000. The ones that had sold recently were in the 470, 466 range.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you're using an ARV calculator or and so you know how to walk a house and figure out the what it's needing. I think that's where I run into issues. I walk around thinking I'm not sure what it really means.
Yeah, I looked at a bunch of them and I tried to get something that was comparable. I did a quick and dirty. I didn't go through and do this one is so many square feet. I looked at the square footage and I looked at the, the overall and, the condition looked somewhat, but there were 2 or 3 that were pending that were way up there in terms of price. I don't know if they'll sell or not, but they were gorgeous and they were in that area. And this house has a better view and is closer to the things that are attractive about that area than those were.
I'm just
Hey, Gary,
surprised.
can I ask Kay a question real quick?
Absolutely, yeah.
Kay, on the couple you saw that were pending, does it say how many days on market they were before they went pending? If you know, I don't need to know right now, but I'm just saying, I'm thinking that if it's,
That's something good. No, I don't think I looked at that.
yeah, I'm just thinking if it's less than 60 days, days on market, then it's pretty close, especially 45 days on market before it went pending. Then it kind of usually here in California, Arizona, it usually means that the pending price is pretty close to the asking price. But if it starts getting on there too long, then they started dropping it from the asking price.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Well, I tell you what, I'm shocked that you can actually get a house for that price where you are right on a golf course. I thought it'd be much higher,
Well, it's a public golf course and there's a street, between the end of this property and the public golf course. But
Okay.
there's no other house behind it.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about these repairs before we go into the spreadsheets. All right. Looks like you need new paint throughout. Now, do you know what the square footage of I guess it's a house and a carriage house?
Yes. I'm looking for they're on the, yeah, the house is, let's see, 2,000.
Get my pencil here.
Yeah, the price per square foot, it's tax valued at 133.92.
Mhm.
The low sales were 158, 166, and 192.58. Let's see here. Oh, here I have days on market. The house is about 2,300 square feet. Let me see, I want to give you an accurate number. I don't have it. But the days on market, I do have that data. I just didn't look at it.
Yeah, I don't need it now. It's just saying that's just something to
They were
look
like
at.
25 days and 10 days.
Yeah, pending is 25 days, 10 days, and it's usually pretty close to the asking
And
price.
that was 449 and 455. And it was 242.96, almost 243 per square foot and 217 per square foot.
Okay.
One sold over asking and one sold under.
Does
Yeah,
it
the
show what?
longest one was on the market and it was larger. It had 3441 square feet and it sold for 574,000. It was on the market for 138 days.
Okay. All right, so far, guys, let's do a quick test here. So far from what you're hearing, would raise your hand or type in yes if you would do this deal. Just so far, just based on what we know. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far, but now we got to do a little digging. This is where things can get a little things, your opinion could change. It all has to do with the remodeling, and it's not just because everything's gotten more expensive, material, labor. It's always been that way. You know, remodeling is just like Karen was saying, man, you think you cross all your T's and dot your I's, and you get in there and you open up a wall and replace some wiring, and next thing you know, you see the plumbing's old lead pipe plumbing or something, got to replace that. It's just how remodeling goes. So a couple questions, Kate. Does that show when the house was built and the square footage on any of those?
Yeah,
Any of
I've got the tax documents pulled up.
Okay.
Let me see. I thought I printed them out. Let me see if I can find them.
And while Kate's looking for that, guys, my rule of thumb as of, probably 7 years ago or so, is when it comes to flipping, I prefer to only flip a house that's built post 1978. Because that means it's past the lead paint and it's got modern construction, the block foundation, the Romex wiring, the plumbing, everything is modern, and it might need a new roof because it's now, could be 40 years old or something. But I'm okay with that. What I don't want to get into is, I know this is hard. Some of you are in older areas, and I've lived in some of those older areas where a lot of the housing stock is literally 100 or more years old. So you've got old sandstone foundations and dirt floors in the basement and knob and tube wiring and radiator heating and all this stuff, and everything is relative to the market. So if you're in a new area, like in San Antonio and Austin, there's a lot of new buildings going on there in the last generation. Not much is very old, but if you go to, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, all those, old cities, I mean, half the housing stock or more is old. It's just ancient. So you go with what you have,
Thanks
so-
a lot, Gary.
Oh, yes. Well, but the thing is,
But it's true. It is
It is.
true. It's
Yeah, for
pretty
the-
ancient over here.
and for that area, I mean, I've seen some amazing work done on some buildings in some of those older cities. They'll
It
expose.
was built in 1960.
Okay. So that's now 62 years old. It still is going to have modern construction building techniques, but it could have the old what's called BX wiring, which is grounded, but it's not Romex, it's called BX, and it is grounded. So I would check and make sure it has like a breaker panel as opposed to like the old push button breakers.
Yeah, there was one that I said, there were two in there, and I took some pictures that were new. And then there was one funny looking thing outside. I didn't know what it was. And I took a picture of it. I figured somebody might know what it was, but I couldn't figure it out.
Was it a box that had like an arm on it, like a slot machine kind of thing on the side?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably could be the old main breaker. That would have to be moved inside,
Yeah, well, it looked like there was new electrical inside, and the box looked relatively new. The kitchen was new and had black granite countertops and stainless steel appliances in it.
Okay. Well, so let's talk about the remodeling. So needs new paint throughout the inside, exterior paint maybe, and some repair under windows. So some of the windows, it sounds like maybe they need to be scraped and painted.
Yeah, the wood around them, and one window kind of in the front, it looked like there might have been some seepage or something. There was a funny, I don't know if you've got the pictures. I sent a link with the pictures on it. Can you open that?
To my email?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me see if there's another, let's see, let's do another. It looks like so far I just have the one email.
Okay, let me see. Well, it was supposed to be a link that was in there. Let me see if I can find.
Oh, in the original email?
In the original email, it was a link down
Oh.
the bottom.
Okay, I see it as like a green box. I wonder if that was supposed to be linked, but I said, let me
No,
look at,
it's been down below that.
click here to begin step one. That's your application process.
Let me see if I
I mean,
can.
here's the attachment. Oh, here we go. Okay, follow me on Facebook. Oh, no, that's here's your marketing links. Well, that's okay. Let me go back up here. So when you say likely needs new windows and doors, is that in the main house and the casita?
The casita looked like it had been recently remodeled inside. I was thinking mainly exterior doors out there. The interior doors and pictures there looked good. I figured there'd be some interior doors I'd probably want to replace and maybe, you know, I mean, they look like they were in good shape. I opened them. They need to be repainted and that it's just an old dated house.
Okay.
That's why I was hoping you could see the link. Let me see if I can find
You
it.
did walk the property, right, Kay?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, if you scroll down, can you see the ATS deals at Investor Lift? And it says ATS Capital. Keep going down there. And if you click on begin step one, I don't know if that'll show you or it or not.
Okay.
But the pictures were, oh, now it's not even letting me log in. So
Yeah, it's asking me for some login credentials.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Let me go back a step. Here we go. So back up here. Here's what I'm asking. On a flip, if just the fact that you said likely needs you windows and doors, we would just replace them. But on a rental, we might not. If the windows,
I wasn't gonna replace it unless it needed. I was mainly gonna just caulk them because they're like big picture windows with a wooden casing around the outside. And then, you know, I think if they were caulked and maybe some of that wood was replaced, it didn't look too expensive to me.
yeah. Okay. Now, how about the windows that actually open up? Any windows that you open up? Any of the windows that are supposed to be opened up?
I didn't do that. No.
Okay. I would definitely do that. And make sure there's no windows that are fogged up because you probably do want to replace those if they're fogged.
Yeah, I didn't see any fogged up windows.
Okay, good. Now, new flooring.
I would tear out the carpet. It's got terrazzo tile in the hallways and in the entryway, and I would probably just clean that up.
Okay, yeah, keep the tile, probably replace the flooring. If the flooring, again, you want to get a decent tenant there. So in order to have a decent tenant, you want to have decent flooring, but you don't have to put in $37 a yard carpeting. You can put in, you know, $20 a yard carpeting. And we always used to use Shaw Candy Truffle. And we use an upgraded pad is what we did. And we put that in every rental we had. It looks great. And the upgraded pad makes it feel real nice, allows the carpet to last longer. And we just bought it. I mean, tons of it. So you can get better deals, by the way, when you start doing more of this. Now, the electrical and maybe plumbing, you know, like what I would recommend just reading this is I would go through with a contractor and get their opinion, you know, and tell them you'll pay them, you know, $100 or whatever. And I would flush every toilet, turn on every faucet, turn on every light, and plug something in every outlet. You can get a tester for like $2.50 that you plug in the outlets, and it tells you if the polarity is right and if it's grounded and if there's any issues. Real simple test.
And you may want to bring an inspector through and have a home inspection done.
Yeah, either that or a contractor, either or. What we used to do is I actually paid an inspector to train me through my first 3 properties. And I literally would show up in like a mechanic suit, the overalls, and flashlights and tools, and he would take me through everything. It would take hours. And I started doing my own inspections. And then they passed, you guys probably, some of you remember this, they passed a new law back in, you know, 20-something years ago that the inspector business had to be certified, and the report had to be from a certified inspector. So I just said, look, I'm buying it for myself. I'm not using an inspector. I'm comfortable with my own inspections, and here's my report. And for the most part, they let me do that. But here, if you haven't done anything like that, you definitely want to, if not an inspector, at least a contractor, a
Okay.
general contractor. Because you want cost. You want to know what these things are going to cost. And also will tell you if there's anything that's not up to code. So as a general rule in rentals, guys, and on any property, particularly rentals where you're renting something out to another person, you want to make sure everything is, you want to write these 3 things down: safe, clean, and up to code. Everything has to be up to code. You don't want to have anything that's not up to code. You can't fake it or fudge it, because if something goes wrong, it'll come back and bite you in the rear end. Plus you want to get good insurance, so long term it'll help you keep other costs down. Any case, roof is new. Now the foundation, the one part you're talking about that's slanted, is that on the main house or the casita?
It's in the main house. It's a back room that was probably a patio that was expanded.
It's probably exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they probably did is they put like a 4-inch slab down on top of gravel, and they had to have it so water would run off away from the house. So it's probably not a slab you would find under a main house, like a 6-inch slab with all the footings and all that kind of stuff. Here it's probably just I actually wouldn't worry about it. Unless there was a code issue or something, quite frankly.
Okay.
I mean, is it look like it's functional, like the people?
Oh, yeah, it's functional. It just, I mean, there's just a noticeable slant down there, but if you were sitting out there and just enjoying the view, which is, it's the back of the house that looks out over the golf course.
Yep. Okay. Now we're going to go in the chart here in a second. I know we're getting short on time here, but if you mentioned great B&B, what about short-term rental like Airbnb?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I could rent it, by the week and something like that. Yeah, that should have been an Airbnb. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Well, make sure you check with your local occupancy rules. They might say, it has to be minimum 30-day rentals or minimum 7 days, that kind of thing. But the reason I like that idea is if this passes the muster for a traditional rental, then anything that's like through Airbnb is just going to be all gravy, So if it passes the muster as a traditional rental, you're going to be okay. If you can rent it through Airbnb, I would definitely entertain that. I mean, my personal opinion is, and partly it's just where I am in life. I don't want to go back and do all those traditional rentals again, because I know how hard it is. It works, believe me, it works. You build up a lot of wealth over a period of years and income, but it's a human relations business. So short-term rental, people are come and gone in 7 days. It's no fuss, no muss. I mean, you have a lot of cleanups and things like that. But long-term tenants, with kids and dogs and stuff like that, people are hard on houses, and sometimes they get in trouble and they can't pay their rent, stuff like that. So, but to get started, that's how everybody gets started, including me, So in any case, let me look here. When I get down to the line, let's see, offer calculator says 240 is right, budget is 60 for repairs, and I want to make a minimum of 40,000 profit. So in other words, you want remaining 40,000 in equity after all the purchase and repairs are added up, because you'll have way more than that.
Yeah.
You'll have a lot. You have a big chunk of equity there. And let's see here, maximum offer to 240, 51%, 54% of VRV. Profit potential. So this is where I'm not sure where that came from. So
yeah, it's one of those Lou forms, and I just filled in the information and it auto calculated that, and I thought, wow, I don't know how this happened, but that was one of those auto calculated things I don't know.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get down to the forms in a second, but the taxes. So taxes are $93.34 a year. But with exemptions is $21.47. Is that like through homesteading?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I got off of the tax records from Bearcat.
Okay. Now, most parts of the country that I'm familiar with, you can't homestead a property unless you're gonna live there, or you've lived there like 2 of the last 5 years or something. So chances are you're gonna be paying that 93.34 in taxes. But it
That's the
sounds like-
number I used for all of my calculations was the 93.
Okay, now, one thing you do want to do is, you want to appeal the property taxes. Every year they let you do that.
Yeah,
And you want to do that the very next, it's probably going to be April or something maybe, but because if you're paying 240 for it, that's what's showing on the tax records.
hmm
So appeal it, absolutely. Any case, so cap rate, let's talk about cap rate. So to get cap rate, you take your net operating income, and your net operating income is your gross income. So 2,700 plus 1,100 is 3,800. 3,800 times 12, right? So that's 38,000, 45,600. Okay, in gross income. Right off the bat, your taxes are going to be 93.34. So now you're down to what they say, 45. Now you're down to 36,000. Okay, and you're going to have other expenses: insurance, vacancy, maintenance, repair. Now, I'm assuming you're going to have your tenants pay all the
we'll
utilities,
talk
right?
about it later. I'm in the middle of a business meeting.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. We like children, so.
Not when they're complaining about their mouse being broken on their computer. That can wait.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. So in any case, out of 36,000, you're going to have other expenses, but I would have your tenants pay all the utilities on a place like
Right.
this. And where I come from, we would keep the water in our name because it's a lienable item, and we would invoice the tenant. See, if you put the water in a tenant's name and they don't pay it, it's lienable, which means you get stuck with it when they leave. You have to pay it, or they'll put a lien on your house, So we would pay it, make sure it gets paid, and invoice the tenant on anything lienable like water and sewage. But in any case, let's say we're down to now 30,000 a year in income, okay, after expenses. To figure your cap rate, you would take your 30,000 and divide it by the purchase price. Well, your purchase price is really 300,000 because you got 240 plus 60 repairs. So 30,000 divided by 300,000 is what? 10%. So you got a 10% cap rate. Okay. Now the cash on cash return is you take now this is where you do, by the way, cap rate, if you notice, does not account for debt service. When you calculate cap rate, you do not include mortgage payments in there. It's just, the net operating income divided by the total purchase price, or total outlay. Cash on cash return, a couple of things change. On cash return, when you calculate your net income, first you do again subtract your expenses off of the gross, and then you deduct your principal and interest payments. Okay, and you're left with a true in pocket, cash in your pocket. You divide that by what you put out of your pocket, not the total purchase price. So if you put down, you put out of your pocket, say you put out the 60,000 yourself for the repairs, and you finance the 240, you would take your net in your pocket after your debt service. Let's say that's now you're down to 12,000, right? After your payments, your mortgage payments, 12,000 in your pocket income. You would divide your 12,000 by what you put into it, which in this case is 60,000, and that gives you a 20% cash on cash return. 12,000 is 20% of 60,000. So let me repeat that. The cash on cash return, you don't just take out your expenses like taxes, insurance, and maintenance and repairs. You include in that your debt service. So your in your pocket's going to be less, right? And it's pre-tax, by the way, before taxes. And then instead of dividing it by the total purchase price, you divide it by what you actually put into it, out of your cash, out of your pocket. So it's cash going in your pocket on an annual basis, divided by cash out of your pocket on the purchase, when you first bought it. Basically, your what you put into it. And I'm going to assume you're going to finance 240 and put in 60 for the repairs yourself. So 60 is what you divide it by. That gives you your cash on cash return. any case, I have had cash on cash return as high as 70%, extremely rare. There was a lot of owner financing. But over time it was, that was the number. That usually 20% is a really good number. Anything above that would be considered really, really good. In some markets, 10% cash on cash is what's acceptable. And maybe the cap rate, only 5% is acceptable. Any case, everybody
Hey,
ready to
Gary?
look at the, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I was typing. Can you do the cash on cash? What was the cash on cash return figure? I don't need the whole equation, but just the number.
Yep. So let's say you have the 2,700 and the 1,100 for rents coming in. That's 3,800 a month. So you want to annualize that. So that's 38,000 plus another 7,400. So that's 45,400 on gross rents coming in for the year. And then let's say and now you have to deduct your non-debt expenses. Okay. So you deduct your taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, and so forth. And I just figured we'd take that down to 30,000. So 30,000 would be our what's in our pocket before the debt service. So you want to do cash on cash return, right? Okay. So now you deduct your debt service, and let's say your debt service is 20,000 a year. 240,000 loan. Based on the figures you got, let's just say roughly that's 20,000 for principal and interest. So now you're down to I'm sorry, I said I was going to make that 18,000. So let's say you're down now to 12,000 cash in your pocket pre-tax. You paid your expenses, you paid your mortgage payments, you're left with 12,000 in your pocket. Okay. Now on the purchase side, let's say K finances 240,000 and puts in 60,000 of her own money. It's the 60,000 that you divide your cash in your pocket into. So you divided 12,000 divided by 60,000, which is her cash out of pocket at the time of purchase and remodeling. And 12,000 is 20% of 60,000. And that's how you come up with the 20% cash on cash return. So what's interesting, guys, is this. Cash on cash return can be manipulated and improved based on the terms of your deal. You could put more money down, you could put less money down, you could finance more, you could finance less. At the end of the day, you want to structure it so that you have a favorable cash on cash return. Cap rate is important, yes. Cap rate is really more important in helping you determine how does the property measure up to the prevailing cap rate in the area. So if the prevailing cap rate in the area is 10%, and this is only going to give you 5%, well, that might not, that's an indicator that's maybe not such a good deal. Okay. But aside from that, let's say the market's really crazy and you got cap rates all over the map. At the end of the day, the thing that matters to most of people is how much are they actually making cash? What's the money going out? What's the money coming in? And that if that ratio is high enough for you, then you do the deal. And if it's not, you can potentially manipulate the terms of the deal to have a higher cash on cash return, right? So in other words, if Kay put down, let's say Kay put down 60,000 for the remodeling and another 40,000, in other words, she put down $100,000, okay? Now she's financing less, so she should have more cash in her pocket. Let's say now she's got 15,000 in her pocket. Okay. But if you divide 15,000 divided by 100,000, that's a 15% cash on cash return. So if you think about it, to have a better cash on cash return, it actually generally requires you to put less money into it and finance more. Does that make sense? To have a higher cash on cash return. But you're always it's a seesaw, as you increase your down payment, you decrease your debt, and you therefore decrease your monthly payment and increase your cash flow. So you just have to play with the numbers. That's the fun part. That's where you use the calculators and do 5 or 6 what if scenarios, and then pick the one that looks best for you and make your offer. And when you're negotiating, this is why I always tell people never ever give up on the first round. If somebody doesn't like your offer, keep finding out what's important to them, and what's important to you, and see if you can strike a compromise based on terms. Yeah, go ahead, Kay. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, any idea on how you would do this with a wholesaler who wants cash, 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 cash?
Yeah, you just have to come up with the cash. You can borrow the money, but that they, regardless, they don't want to be involved, you know, with any kind of thing like that. So you have to do the borrowing in order to give them. Now, let me ask you this.
So you're
The
talking about my
wholesale-
private money borrowing is where I would negotiate my
Yeah.
terms? Okay.
Yep. So the person that's wholesaling, do you know if there's any debt on the property at all?
No, I think he probably bought it in a probate sale.
Okay.
It's
So is
still
he,
it's still in the name. Well, the guy that is with the wholesaler, Josh.
yeah. So in other words, the wholesaler doesn't own it. He just has it under contract.
I think so.
Yeah. I would definitely check your property tax records. It'll show right there. It's guaranteed. If he's
Well,
closed
I
on
looked
it,
at the property tax records and it's still in the name of Pape, P-A-P-E,
yeah,
which is
then
not this guy. And I couldn't find out. I was trying to research and see how to find out what he paid for it.
yeah. Well, what he did is he probably gave him some money, right? And got it under contract and gave himself the right to assign the contract. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully he did that. If he didn't do that, that could be trouble, you know? So, because it could go to closing, an attorney could say, wait a second, you know, this person doesn't have the right to buy this property, that being you. You know, it's in somebody else's name, and therefore they need to do, depending on the state, they may have to do a double closing, you know? So, but people wholesale everywhere. I'm sure it's, you know, it's legitimate, but, so what they want you to do is he wants to, ultimately the wholesaler wants to walk away with a profit. So if he has it under contract for 200, he wants to walk away with 40,000, it looks like, you know? So the key here is there already a loan on the property? And we can determine that. You can go to ReallyFlow, type in the property address, right? And then go into the details. It'll tell you if there's a loan out there on it. It'll tell you who the loan's with, what the loan origination date is and the loan payoff date is, and what the original balance was, you know? And if it was paid off, it would be reflected. It would say that there's zero debt on the property. So, I mean, I don't think he's trying to pull a fast one on you, but I mean, it'll all come out in the closing anyways. But I would make sure, like you don't necessarily have to give him 240,000. You see what I'm saying? You know, he's at the closing table, the attorney's going to take care of all that. So back to this. Let's see here. Operating income 10,000 for one main house rental and 57,000 if I rent both front and back separately. I'm not sure how those figures came about because
Again, that was in one of those forms I filled out, and it gave alternate 1 and alternate 2, and I just put the rent of 2,600 for renting one unit and came up with numbers, and then I added the 2,600 plus the 1,100 and came up with second numbers, and the expenses stayed the same, so it showed a lot more profit.
Okay, so here's the first one. Let's see. I can't read the street smarts right on top of that. Just something cell calculator.
Cost to sell calculator, I think.
Cost to sell. Gotcha. Okay. So the asking price was 250. Buyer's discount 3%, discount off asking price. Real estate commission 3%. Closing costs another 3%. So now you're up at 22,500. And then holding costs. So you have financing on it, you know, until you get a permanent loan, and they're calculating that to be 3125 times 6, 18,750. And I can't see, oh, that says points. Okay. So 5 points, $12,500. Okay. And is that the loan you were saying it could be 9.75% for the private money? Okay. All right, now utilities, okay, got that. Vacancy, insurance, if you got to insure the place. Yard maintenance and cleaning, okay, I got that. Appraisal, survey, and when you may not need a survey. Deductible, let's see here. Deductible, I can't read that, says budget at
Oh,
something in
budget
insurance.
insurance deductible,
Oh,
which
gotcha.
is
Okay.
$1,000.
Okay, all right. Property taxes, that's basically half a year of that. Transfer tax,
I don't think we
Um,
have that.
okay. And then, well, transfer taxes, that's, most, in most states, you've got state and local transfer tax, and
Mm.
they add them together at the closing and, in any case, then you got the repairs of 60,000. Then further down here, you've got a, termite inspection, um, treatment, other repairs. So the seller's total cost to sell, 124. What do you feel is fair for us to earn to solve your problem?
Yeah, this
Um,
didn't, this form didn't make sense to me. I put at the bottom, I don't understand this form. And, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's great if you're going to negotiate with the buyer and you want to let him see how much it's going to cost you to sell, but I didn't think it was applicable to my scenario.
mhm. Selling net proceeds, 120 total
This
cost
is
of
buying, I
sale.
think, subject to.
Yeah, that's 250. Okay, so 129 and 120. That's $250,000. Final offer to seller, 120. Oh, that's if you're gonna. It sounds like you're going to well, wait a
If you
second.
took
That
over
leaves,
some financing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Hi, Gary
120.
and
go
Gary
ahead.
and Kay. I apologize. I don't mean to sound flip. But why, Kay, why didn't you use one of the forms that we have in the investor's website? Because
And the what?
in Gary's website for us.
Well, I use these because the guy that I want to go to for the private money, these are his forms.
Oh, he uses these forms too. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Well,
Yeah, Gary's forms would probably be easier because this didn't make any sense to me. I told the gal, I said, somebody's gonna have to explain this to me because this doesn't make any sense.
well, these costs here, these are all non-debt expenses
Mhm.
that add up to the 124, 102, plus the 5,000, 129, 102. So that would leave the 120 in the seller's pocket. So really what you're offering them is 100. They're gonna will they walk away with 120 and be happy with that? So let's
If
go
you
on
took
to the
over
next.
debt.
Yeah, that maybe that'd be enough to cover the debt. That's right. So, okay, let's see, acquisition expenses, down payment. So we're gonna give them some hand money, 4437, purchase closing costs. Recording fees, all that kind of stuff. Okay, survey, property inspection, termite treatment, and there's your 4438. So all in, just 1% of ARV. Okay, so all in, you're looking at 9889. And you got your repairs, all right, and there's 10% of the fudge number, like the contingency number, 6,000, which is 10%. It's 66,000. Total renovation costs, 66,000. Okay, now down here,
This
You
one
got
is
your-
only for 3 months of holding cost,
yeah.
which
Um,
I think I could do it in 3 months if I got somebody in and got them working and knocked it out, then I could put it on the market to rent.
well, I would still calculate 6 months, and the reason is
Okay,
it just, I mean, just stuff happens,
okay.
if you get it in 3 months, then you're gonna pleasantly surprise yourself. But because of all that's going on right now with supply chain problems and, people waiting on appliances, and it's just crazy. And of course, the crews, the contractors are all busy. So do you know anybody like, or a couple of crews right off the top of your head that, you know, like a first name basis, you've seen their work, or you maybe worked
Yes,
with them in the
I've
past?
got a couple that I would use.
Okay. Okay, all right, insurance, utilities, total holding expenses, those are holding costs. Remember, that's part of that 30% we like to see you. You're gonna have to cough up some of it for holding costs, so the other 20% you keep for yourself. Let's see, advertising, I'm not sure about that, 3,500 for it. I mean, I wouldn't spend that on advertising.
No,
Yeah, let's see, net sales price, 356,000. So what I'm gathering here is you're taking the 250 and you're adding up all these other costs to get to
Yes.
this 356,
Mhm.
okay? It includes pretty much everything. Then that there's a mortgage payoff of
Yeah, I
200,000.
I don't know where that number that one, that mortgage payoff, I don't know where that came from, because that wouldn't be in there. Because there
Yeah,
isn't a mortgage to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't, when I'm running these numbers, I wouldn't include or commingle the seller's cost and all this.
Yeah.
Let them take care of that. What you want to do is figure out, because you're going to get financing to pay the seller anyways, whether they
Mhm.
have a mortgage or not. I mean, that's their
Mhm.
business. Let's see, so estimated net profit. This is where I'm not making, none of this adds up. So you got
Yeah, I know.
443 is estimated after repair value. And after you've done all the math, you get a net sales price of 356. So you're ahead of the game there. 43 and 43, 86 some odd thousand. And this, like if with this here being like this,
Mhm.
unless he's saying
Gary,
out of the total, yes.
do you think, do you think this 200,000 is the estimate of what she's gonna have for her mortgage?
That's
So
what I was
she
just
turns
thinking,
around
yeah.
and flip this?
Yeah, or I mean, if she kept it, if you keep it, Kay, you would be refinancing ultimately. That's what I was saying in the beginning.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the private money and go through all these gyrations, because you're gonna have another closing. Now you're gonna have two closings if you do that.
Yeah.
Go to your credit union, see if they would do a purchase plus remodel loan, because it's like a construction loan. It'll be a lot less expensive on the rate, and you only have to close once, you know?
Hey, Gary, this is Greg from LA. Two
Yeah.
things. Number one, is this a flip calculator? So this is estimating if she went around and flipped it, what what her expenses and things would be. And the second part, Mike, I guess concerning if she went to the credit union, how long that takes versus a hard money loan where she would close in 10 days. And would the wholesaler wait for a regular credit union, regular bank loan versus a hard money, you'd be done in a few days?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. What I would do, Kay, is go to your credit union. Let them give you the green light or not. Okay. And if they say, hey, Kay, based on your credentials, we would do this deal, you know, and get like a pre-approval letter, you know. Now I know the guy wants cash, but what you do is you say, well, you're going to get cash. It's going to be at the closing table. And you're getting a loan, but investors do that stuff all the time. Drives me crazy. I'm going to bring cash. And like, well, we all bring cash to the closing, but where are you getting the cash? You know,
Yeah.
so they'll have to know that this is contingent upon you getting a loan. If you do it that way, otherwise you do the private money route, and unfortunately, you know, you can't use that contingency. So then, if it doesn't go through, you're out your hand money. You know.
Yeah.
But I would try it the simple way first with your credit union. Plus, it's going to be a less expensive way to acquire the property. And down here, you know, I mean, I'm looking at this. Let's say you do borrow, but see the way we were looking at it, if you did borrow to buy it first, you were going to borrow 240, and then use 60 of some other money to do the remodeling. So this would actually be 240 that you got to pay off. Okay. And if I would assume you would refinance, you know, I would want to refinance and get the 60 out too. So that would be 300,000. So you'd pay off that, which would be 240, not 200, plus your 60, get your money back, at least break even. So then you're really getting the property, no money down, and you have a cash flow. If you do it correctly, if you buy, remodel, rent, refinance for your total outlay, purchase plus remodeling, then you get essentially no money down, and you have cash flow, and you get to reuse your 60,000 again. You know, so the cash requirements, I get that, just adding up all those other figures, but estimated number of hours spent on property, 10, and your earnings was 22,000. I'm not sure.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. And really, we've already calculated your cash on cash return. It's not 260. So
I
is
know, I
this
thought
stuff?
that, but I said that can't be right. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's
So is this-
22,000 per hour.
Oh,
Yeah, Gary, I think-
22,000 per hour. Oh,
Yeah, the $222,087 divided by 10, and then you just round it up to, instead of 208, it just did 209. Instead of
okay.
208 and $208.70, they just went up to 209. So it's
Okay.
taking 10 hours on the property.
Oh, I wish I could make that much per hour. That'd be great.
Mhm. Well, chances are it's gonna be more than 10 hours.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, when you're doing remodeling and all that, I mean, it's closings and you gotta go check out the work. You know, it's just, there's a lot to it. So
So I
I'm
guess
gonna
that's a
put-
calculation for how much of your time you put into it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right.
So,
All
I
right.
mean-
That makes sense.
let's see, so maximum level offer, okay. So 250 is what they want. The value is 443, repairs, times 2 per acquisition, 141. So I'm not sure what they mean by that.
I don't know either.
Repairs times 2. It looks like the words per acquisition. We already said we'd have 60,000 in repairs.
Mhm.
But in any case, if you add the 141 and the 250, that's 391, 443, 391, that's 52,000 roughly is the difference. That's left blank there though. Okay, maximum allowable offer price 160, which is 60% of the ARV. Well, the ARV is 443 and 160 is not 64% of 443. 60% of 443 is around 300,000.
Hey,
Yeah.
Gary, I
yes,
think
sir.
that's 60% of the asking price.
Okay,
Oh,
that would make sense. Yeah.
The model for all this is based on
asking price, I see it.
65 cents on the dollar, just so you
Oh.
guys know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there it is. Percentage of area, 36%. Okay, now we're talking. All right, potential profit, 283, 777. Yeah, again, I'm not, I'm not seeing that anywhere.
yeah. I don't know where that came from. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's the first time I've tried these forms. I'm brand new.
Yeah.
But it just seemed, my gut level said I thought it was a good project and I wanted to do it, but
Yeah.
I kind of got lost in the forms.
Well, if you take the 443 and subtract your $240,000 loan and 60 or purchase price of 60,000 remodeling, that's 300,000. That leaves a profit of 143,000. And that's really good. Plus you have cash flow coming in. But again, I'm not sure why they put in here the total cost to sell. Again, I'm guessing this is because this is intended for a flip. This form was intended for a
I
flip.
think so too, Gary. I think it's
Yeah.
for a flip.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah.
pulling numbers from various forms throughout this whole thing. They're not independent.
Right. Yeah. Now this one here, the cash flow, yeah, these aren't your figures. They're 1,200 and 1,200. Yours were 2,700 and 1,100.
Yeah, that was in scenario B and it didn't carry over to this.
Yeah. So I would redo that completely. Or just use our on the website, on our team's website. Here,
Mhm.
let me show you. Let me go here and log into the team website. Hang on one second. Members area. Okay, so if once you're in, you go into the members area and click on tools. Okay, when it comes to cash flow, this one right here, this is the industry tested, tried true calculator. It comes from the CCIM, which is the commercial world, okay, commercial designation world, and you can download it. It's open to anybody on the team. These are editable forms, so you get the original either Excel spreadsheet or Word docs. And we've gone over this before in class for several recordings, so we can go over this again on any class, but this is the go-to form for calculating cash flows and what you should potentially offer on the property. In this case, you're not buying a turnkey property. You're buying a property that needs to go through the BRRRR method, buy, remodel, rent, refinance. But at the end of the day, you would still use this to calculate your returns, right? So you put in your rents, your vacancies, other income like laundry, your expenses, taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs. See, the expense side is pretty thorough. And that's why I like this. It forces you to be honest with yourself about the cost. Now, you're not going to have snow removal. If you have snow removal, then we're in trouble. So, but you will have some lawn care and things like that. Again, I'm going to assume your tenant's going to pay the utilities because it's basically a single family home, and you got 2 panels you said, so you should be okay there. And it gives you your net. Then you could subtract your debt service, and it shows you what your actual what your money in pocket pre-tax is, right? You also get your cap rate, okay, your debt coverage ratio. So in any case, I would practice this, Kay, and we go over this probably once or twice a year, but we can do it on a one-on-one if you like. But what I saw there, the forms you had definitely looked like they were geared towards flipping. So I would definitely talk to somebody in Lou's office and let them know that you're with this. If you do it, you're intending to make it a rental, and that would change things. And I would definitely encourage you to go to your credit union, and because I think they'll work with you. Yeah. And I would love to have a house over, even if it's a public golf course. The fact is that's you have the potential to not just do a traditional rental, you have the potential to maybe do some Airbnb out of that. So what you can do, go to Airbnb and plug in that area, the zip code, the neighborhood, whatever, see if there's any other Airbnbs there. Okay. Yep. And that'll tell you if that's because if it is potential, I mean, this even just gets better,
Yeah.
all your income figures go up, instead of renting it for $2,700 a month, for the main house, that's just shy of $100 a night. I mean, you could get maybe $200 a night for that place through Airbnb,
Yep.
So, okay. Well, let me stop sharing, guys. I've actually got to hop on another Zoom, but boy, we got a lot of questions I never even saw here. So actually, there's probably people answering my questions, what they do, their deal or not. Let's see. Greg saying, yeah, sounds like a great deal. Hard money loan, close in 30 days. Lisa Sears, thank you, Lisa. Great Zoom tonight. Those outdoor breaker boxes aren't always required to be inside. Kathy, yeah, check most water, electric. Back several years ago, the BOCA codes were intended to be national for residential properties. For commercial, they were like, it's kind of it's every man for himself. But depending on, it usually comes down to your electrical service provider. They'll tell you what they want, but generally speaking, they're supposed to all follow the same codes. Greg, let's see. Michael, sorry, but I'm having terrible connection issues. I can barely keep the thread. Hey, Michael, if you're still on, you're going to get a recording tomorrow, and it'll be much clearer when you're recording. I'm sorry you're having on internet challenges here. So Greg would add 10%. Would it be an issue with taking too long to close? Oh, I gotcha. If we did a traditional financing, yep. So any case, okay, guys. Well, I think that's about it. Next week, let me tell you who's coming up next week. That's the 14th. And that is Jay Sal. And I can't remember what the subject is, but it'll be on the email tomorrow. If you look at last week's email, it'll have what his subject's going to be. Okay. So any final questions or thoughts, guys?
I just want to say thank you for all your input. I appreciate it.
Hey, I love these kind of classes. I mean, it's you get to exercise the tools, and get your brain waves, your brain thinking. It's not a linear thing. You got to really think outside the box and think multidimensionally. But I think, hey, this one's got a lot of potential. I mean, I wish, if I could be there and see it, it'd probably go a lot faster. But make sure if you do have pictures, please send them to me or bring them to next class next week.
Okay,
I'll look at my emails again. And then,
Thank you.
yeah,
yeah,
Thank you, Kate, for bringing this up. This is pretty awesome.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
really, Gary, you guys find me one like this in Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, somewhere like that, I'm ready to go.
Well, yeah. Hey, Lisa, I don't know why, for some reason I don't know if it's the microphone, but your voice is sort of wavering or got garbling or something. It's hard to explain, but not sure why. but-
I'm not on Bluetooth tonight, sorry.
Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah. But I tell you what, guys, definitely remember, bring these things to class, because there's no better way to learn with a real live example, And I mean, for me, I'd be thrilled to have a place overlooking a golf course and, bringing in that kind of money and that kind of equity built in. That's what it's all about, So, but Kate, definitely don't, make sure you like Kathy said, either get an inspector in there or a contractor. Reason like a contractor is they'll give you some figures. Inspector's just going to say, this is what I think needs to be done, but not giving you real figures. But a contractor will do that. And if you know a contractor, they should be they should know the codes, know what's good and what's not good and what the cost of things are. But inspectors are great because they're usually very thorough.
Yeah.
And you can learn from them. What they'll tell you, hey, this on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a minor thing,
Yeah.
It's like a 1 or a 2, or this is a major thing, like a 9 or a 10, So, yeah, but in any case, well, listen,
Good
guys,
call, Gary. Thank you.
you're very welcome. You guys have a wonderful night. Wednesday night is our monthly team call. So for the new agents, make sure you're on. And the beautiful thing is Workplace just came out with a calendar function. So all over the classes and the monthly team calls, the masterminds are all now on a calendar format. So you can click on one button and see what's coming up. Is that cool or what? Makes it so
Good.
much easier. Yeah. But make sure you're on Wednesday night, because we only do that once a month. So there's a lot to go over. And these are things that are internal that affect you directly. And we've got some heavy hitters sort of subject goes coming on Wednesday night. So make sure you're there. And we'll see you and any guests. You're always welcome to Monday Night Live. Same thing. Treat it like it's your own class. Bring in, if you want to bring people with you, that's fine. Or if you want to bring in examples like Kay did, we love it. So
Hey,
Okay.
Gary,
yes, ma'am.
quick question. The Wednesday meeting, is that a separate link?
Yeah. So it's Beverly. I think she even puts it in the email that comes out on Tuesdays after the Monday Night Live class. She'll give you the upcoming. In fact, let's just go see real quick here. Let me go to my email.
I think it's a totally different email thread with a link.
It is. I just couldn't. So PF, does she not put the so she only puts the class link in the class after class emails?
Yeah, but I think
Okay, gotcha.
for Wednesday night, for the team meeting is specifically called like a team meeting night. Let me
Yeah.
look for it.
There were things missing from it the last time I looked.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to look at the October 25th. Let's see, there's the class link. Yep. By the way, Jay Saw is going to be discussing producing fast and amazing must-see digital content. Oh, that's going to be good. So next week is all about digital content. Let's see, featured posts, podcasts, customer service. Yeah, so guys, the link for the monthly team call was not in the weekly class after class email.
No.
I'm going to go to Workplace real quick, and I'll share my screen in a second. Hang on just 1 second.
Yeah. Look for an email that says GIA monthly team meeting.
Yep. There you go. Oh, let me share my screen. Wait 1 second. Share. Okay. So guys, I just went in the Workplace on our GIA Team Workplace page. If you click on more, and then scroll down to events. Okay, there's Monday Night Live, there's a morning calls with Gina. You can click on more, okay? Wealth Determiners, Monday Night Live again, click on more. More Wealth Determiners, Agent Attraction is November 16th. That's the next
So
Agent
our team
Attraction.
meeting wasn't even in there, Gary.
Yeah, I'm looking at sure enough, see if they entered it maybe like a month ago, because remember, these are all entered as they pop up, so you may have to scroll down a lot. The thing I couldn't see in here, there's the next community college meeting. The thing I couldn't see is I didn't see the new calendar format yet. This goes way out. Okay. You're right. I don't see the team meeting in here, guys, but hang on one second and let me go back to my email.
The commercial wasn't in there either.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm very sure Beverly would send it again by
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday.
Yep. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to click on this one. Let's see, where's my display, all the images, blah,
That's
blah,
for
blah.
last month.
Yep. But I think if you click on this registration
that's
link, you can click on, it'll register for several upcoming team calls. See, so the 10th is tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, wait a second, that's wrong. That's
The 10th is
November-
Yeah,
Thursday.
the 10th is on Wednesday.
We need one for,
Thursday.
no, November 10th is Thursday.
That's right, so that's wrong.
And the 17th is a
oh.
Thursday.
No, you know what that is?
22nd is a Thursday.
That was a mistake. That was me. I put out that was our internal team meeting. All right, so hang on one second, guys. Last night's, I'll get this for you, I promise. Last night's, I really want that new let me just do this. I really want that new calendar to come out here. So the last time we would have met would have been October. Last night's subject, working with buyers. So remember in October, we delayed the monthly call because a lot of us were in Vegas. So it wasn't the 12th, it was the 19th. Here it is. All right, so if you look at the email from October 20th, guys, okay, that was the monthly team call for October. There's a recording of that, link to material we talked about, next GIA Team Mastermind. So I'm going to take this and put it in the chat box. Okay.
Yeah, but if you put it in the chat box, everybody will have it, including non-team members.
That's okay. We trust them. They're nice people. And
All right.
so, all right, let's see, everyone. Okay, so I'll give you a second, guys, if you can copy that real quick. So you can paste it in your browser. Then make sure you can register for tomorrow night. And then I'm going to go ahead. I wonder if I'm still on Workplace. Let me go here. I'm going to put it in Workplace real quick. Okay. 11/9 GIA Team meeting.
And it's at 6 p.m.
Central. Yep. 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, and 4 Pacific. Okay, so now it's a Workplace, and I just put it in the chat box too. So, okay. Okay, guys. Everybody all set? Everybody tired? I've got another call to do.
Oh my.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty right out here too. So listen, you guys have a wonderful night. I appreciate you participating. Thanks again to all the guests for joining us. And if, as always, please set up your next strategy call if you haven't had one for a while. I will be at NAR this Friday through the weekend. So Friday I won't have any time available, but there is still a time available. Well, just next week and the next 2 weeks. So, okay, you guys take care of yourselves. God bless you and your families, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thanks,
Thank
Travis.
you. Appreciate it, Gary. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Lisa, what you're saying, Lisa?
Thank you.
Gary, one of the guys who are going to be at NAR said this morning that there's a hurricane warning for Orlando, so he's not sure if he's going to make it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I had no
so
idea.
we got an
Okay.
alert while we were on, it was Shannon. We were on the 8 o'clock in the morning call, and he got an alert. And uh-oh. So I
Oh, wow.
yeah, there's a hurricane heading that direction. I'm like, oh my God. So,
Okay. I'll
and
take a look at that.
yeah, I'm just not going to make it.
Gina
Okay.
said it's supposed to hit Wednesday.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Well, y'all be careful.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
You guys have a good
Bye.
night.
Right.
Bye, everybody.